Hello, health seeker. Did you know that your health is instantly connected to your soul? Did you know that when you touch your soul, you toggle your health? Are you aware that if you purify your mind, which is probably cluttered with some negative emotions or thoughts or beliefs, and once it's purified, it becomes a portal, a doorway to your soul and to its treasure of health? Well, I not only teach about this, but I live this. And this is how I have reclaimed health from within me. I call it awakening. And to my great good fortune, I grew up studying about Ayurveda. And I found out that Ayurveda medicine, which is a 5,000-year-old system of health and healing from India, teaches us step by step how to purify the mind so that we can connect with the health of the soul and bring it to the body. We learn to listen to what the body needs, request a pure mind to take care of the body, and bring a lot of well-being, joy, vitality, and oh my God, beautiful, bristling health from the spiritual dimension within us. That is right. That is what I want to talk to you about. I want to have a conversation with you about awakening health, because if you're suffering from distressing physical symptoms, then every symptom and every disease is really an invitation by the body for us to have a deeper conversation. And the body is asking, why am I bereft of my spiritual destiny to be whole, to be happy, and to be healthy? And why, oh why, have you distressed me by alienating me from my own true nature? And today, in this presentation over a 3-part series of exploration, I would like to begin with first looking at the holistic promise of Ayurveda medicine and how indeed it is this planet's original and amazing healing modality that knows and has taught us this first lesson on making the body truly, abidingly happy, vital, and healthy by using a pure mind as a via media to connect with the source of health, which is the soul. It says that these three are the tripod on which health is existing: the body, the mind, and the soul. Ayurveda medicine says in its ancient language, Sattva Atma Shariram Cha Treme Tat Tridandavad. These three dimensions of our existence should be looked at in an integrated way, collectively, together, to blossom the beautiful, fragrant flower of health. And if you are ready to have that flower in your hand, enjoy its beauty, aroma, presence, blessings, then stay with me and just spend some time with me over this 3-part presentation. In the first one, we look at the holistic dimensions of Ayurveda and why, if you are a citizen of planet Earth, then you cannot not afford to have the knowledge of Ayurveda backing you up by your side, a mothering science, a nurturing science that gives you the permission to be you and does not ask you to split yourself up and take your mind to the psychiatrist, to the body, to the MD, and your soul to the priest. but keep it all together in your home, in your garden, in your kitchen, in your relationships, whole, magnificent, joyful, courageous, compassionate, and above all, healthy with a capital H. So in the second part, I will tell you about my awakening health model, what I call the awakening health model, and why you would want to check it out and how it is different from currently all other teaching of Ayurveda on planet Earth. It is really different. It's not different because I thought of it, and just wanted to be different. It's different because I am purposefully, consciously, deliberately re-enlivening the true intention of Ayurveda medicine, which I believe is a little bit lost, diluted, or distorted in its modern transmission. So it's almost like a go back to the tradition to scope out its deeply beautiful, spiritual, philosophical, psychological gems that are often ignored. And so the third presentation is on re-enlivening this model and why this model becomes especially relevant in the light of diseases that are continuing to increase and perplex humankind despite our advances in science and technology, and why a simple return to Ayurveda's truly integrated and holistic and almost garden variety wisdom makes sense. Are we making the business of reclaiming health from within us, staying healthy, role modeling this health too complex, too expensive, too remote from our life, alienated from our true nature? Is health then really a step inwards? Is health then restfulness, acceptance, surrender to a higher power, expectation of health because we are self-healing entities as per Ayurveda? Then let's do that. Let's go on this three-part journey. I welcome you on this journey. Let us begin with the very first presentation, which is Ayurveda medicine and its holistic legacy. I would just be delighted to tell you all about Ayurveda because I have been fortunate to grow up with Ayurveda, and my God, I'm so glad that happened in my life, that I got to be born in my guru, Baba Ayodhya Nath's home, who was renowned for his teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and non-dual wisdom from the Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita, ancient text of India. Because I, specifically my body and mind, really needed Ayurveda, and without Ayurveda, I would not be leading the amazing light-filled, joy-filled, peace-filled, and healthy life that I am leading right now. For those of you who don't know me, I am Acharya Shunya. You might have read my book, Ayurveda Lifestyle Wisdom. Within the first year of its publication in 2017, it was translated in over 7 languages across the world. It was nominated as top 10 books in alternative medicine in USA by Healthline, and it's being taught in various yoga and Ayurveda courses across the world, including at my school, Vedika Global, my wisdom school, where I teach courses for students across the world. My name is Shunya, which means infinity, and Acharya is my title, which in the language of Ayurveda and yoga means master teacher, specifically the holder of a lineage, that which I am, the first woman lineage leader in a lineage that goes back several generations. Ancient India was marked by a very special tradition of teaching known as the Guru Shishya Parampara. Guru means the master who has the knowledge, the wisdom, and Shishya, who is the seeker, the sincere student. And they would have these long dialogues, these deep dialogues, which were awakening health and consciousness. And parampara, literally, this word means tradition. I am very fortunate that I am a product of this master-student tradition or parampara, because I learned Ayurveda at the feet of my teacher Baba, who was a lover of Ayurveda, a healer of Ayurveda, and a seer of Ayurveda, yoga, and Vedanta. These are all sister sciences from the Vedic tradition of India. These are the sciences in which my lineage has specialized, and I bring many gems from that tradition. There is a familiarity with how the human soul is journeying through life and how much it needs wisdom, not just information, but wisdom to lead this life in a manner which is congruent with the universe, with God consciousness, and with a sense of nobility and dharma within. All these deeper teachings are not available in the modern rendering of Ayurveda, in the secular modern system of teachings, but they have come to me and they have become a gift for me, and now a gift that I forward to the people who study with me. So always I begin my teachings with gratitude to this parampara, my pranams to my teacher Baba and to his teacher and to their teachers. With deep, deep gratitude, I begin this presentation. Let us begin with exploring first and foremost, what is Ayurveda? So Ayurveda can be known when we explore just the word Ayurveda. That itself can be such a huge clue into this science. That's so amazing. And what we find out here is that the word Ayurveda is made up of two words, Ayur or Ayush, which comes from Ayush, and Veda, which comes from the root word Vid, which means to know, the knowledge of life or consciousness. So Ayurveda is not just a system of disease, but it is the knowledge of life. So it is a life imparting wisdom. It is the wisdom that we all living beings need right away, as soon as possible that we have access to it. We need to come close to it. Why? Because it teaches us how to sustain our life, protect our life, and then to utilize this life in quest for a greater truth that is behind this life. So it is not just a system of curing disease and preventing disease, but you will be surprised to find out as I continue sharing with you some of the deeper insights into Ayurveda that it is also known as Moksha Shastra, or a modality that encourages us human beings to take our life to the splendor of self-actualization and self-realization. It does not want us to limit our consciousness simply being disease-free. That is not the definition of Ayurveda. That is not the aspiration of Ayurveda. Ayurveda wants us human beings to look at this magical quality of what makes us alive, this consciousness, this awareness that dwells within us, and what is our inherent connection with the Creator, with the stars, the sun, the moon, the wind, the five elements, and how do we interface through our engagement with our relationships, who are none other but our own self in another body, says Ayurveda. And how will we meet ourselves when they come to us as friends and when they meet us as enemies? What will be our response? What do we bring to a relationship? Do we bring nonviolence? Do we bring wisdom? Do we bring compassion? Do we bring accommodation? Do we bring clarity? Do we bring power? Do we bring firmness? Or do we bring woundedness? Do we bring victimhood? Do we bring manipulation? Do we bring aggression? Do we bring passive aggression? Do we bring terror? Do we bring stress? And ultimately, do we bring disease to our relationships? Because we become diseased because of our relationships, and we make others diseased in our relationships if we do not know Ayurveda. I personally feel that Ayurveda is a magnificent compendium for anybody alive on this planet. I think that any human being who has the kind of awareness that is not just aware of the universe, but is self-aware and dares to ask the question, who am I? Why am I? And why am I suffering? And how can I find my way back to the joy, vitality, and well-being that I had once known? Then that person knows Ayurveda. And I have had the satisfying, you can say, life path, showing, I don't know now, countless people across the world who are my students, who have read my writings, who follow my blogs, who listen to my podcasts, who have apprenticed with me. So many people who I have shown them this beautiful, beautiful gem of Ayurveda. They thought they came to me or to my writings or my teachings to stop their hair fall, or to stop an aching, wrist, or to conceive a child, or to have beautiful skin. They not only walk back with that accomplished, but they walk back with something more restored deep inside them. And while they thank me and give me garlands and flowers and thank you cards and send me blessings on important days of my life, I privately thank Ayurveda that I had this holistic divine science to impart, and I could remind people of their bigger, fuller, and ultimately spiritual potential. Let us look at what is the self-declared aim of Ayurveda. How does Ayurveda medicine put forth its agenda? And Ayurveda medicine not only wants to maintain the health of the healthy, it wants to prevent the diseases of the future. Voila, how wonderful is that? And it wants to address the suffering of the ones who could not prevent it in time. So it's both, it works both ways. It likes to restore balance to whatever areas of our life have become imbalanced. And it wants to not just improve the quantity of our life, which is a big part of it. Anti-aging was maybe a new concept in modern thinking and medicine, but anti-aging is a significant aspect of Ayurveda. It wants us to lead a full life. It doesn't want us to defy death, but it wants us to live a full life, a healthy life. And for that, the quality of life is really important. And that's why it gives details on how we can be healthy when we are, from birth to age 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. It gives us detailed recommendations decade-wise so that we can be our most optimum best energy-wise, mind and its focus-wise, cheerfulness-wise, immunity-wise, strength-wise. So in every which way, It wants to look at the quality of our life. And we cannot have a quality life if our mind is always moody, we're temperamental, we can't find joy in anything, we discourage ourselves quickly, we're self-critical, we can't, sustain and engage with hard work to make ourselves, successful in any worldly endeavors that we take on. So quality of life includes looking after our mind, helping it come to its optimum best, and then addressing the social dimension of our life, including our relationships. So, oh my God, all of this helps prolong longevity. Longevity cannot be, had simply by popping a miracle pill. We've all been waiting for that, and we stopped waiting for that. But if there was anything close to a pill, then I would say it is living Ayurveda the way I live it, because it allows you to have a full life and not a compromised life before that. So this is the aim of Ayurveda. And I would say that, therefore, the holistic scope of Ayurveda is prayojanam chas. What is the prayojanam? What is the basic focus that it wants to give us? And it says, that swasthasya swastha rakshanam. Those who are healthy, we will give them raksha. Raksha is a beautiful word for protection. I shall protect you, says Ayurveda medicine. Come to me. If by good fortune, good karma, good genetics, you have good health, well, don't let age and wear and tear of life and the slings and arrows of life take it away from you. Let me provide you the raksha, or the protection that this health needs. And then aturasya vikar prashamanam cha. In case you have come to Ayurveda a bit late and already some chronic ailments have set in, then let me help you overcome that. Even terminal conditions, if you're suffering from that, don't let that stop you from checking out Ayurveda, because I have met and worked with so many people who thought they just had this, this short period of time to live and nothing was worthwhile. And I told them, why don't you begin leading your life, rejoicing your life, celebrating your life as per the wisdom of Ayurveda, and let your life and death be in the hands of a higher power. And those people found that, lo and behold, despite cancer or despite some other terminal condition like renal failure, etc., some aspects of their health improved. They lived way longer than their prognosis, and they departed when they made their transition. It was not in the dramatic, dark, disturbing fashion that they thought they would depart. There was the soothing song of Ayurveda to support them. And I have felt grateful that my Guru Baba told me that we don't have to worry about when death is coming. We simply have to live life with a statement. Live life big, live life true, live life with love, and live life with Ayurveda. That's what I would say to you. So therefore, this two-pronged focus of swastha rakshanam, which is to prevent disease, and vikar prashamanam, which is to cure disease, really makes Ayurveda a one-stop medicine, where we don't have to just go for preventing, because preventing and curing takes place at the same time. And this is how, not only with my Baba, but I have met countless beings who are living with Ayurveda without needing to make hospital trips, without having to submit themselves to antibiotics and preventative surgeries, and without even having any very special plan to prevent disease. They're simply leading their life with the wisdom of Ayurveda, when to get up, when to sleep, what to eat, what thoughts to think when negative thoughts come, how to connect with the universe when it's giving away gifts of, joy and beauty, and how to find it within your own self, just leading their life without this big list of I'm doing Ayurveda. People started finding that they were not only getting healthier and healthier, but even diseases that had set in were disappearing. In my book, Ayurveda Lifestyle Wisdom, I have talked about various people who recovered from really challenging disorders such as ulcerative colitis, multiple sclerosis, hard to lose, chronic obesity even was overcome simply by beginning to lead your life with greater joy and hope that comes from Ayurveda. And these people then turned around and said, wait, Acharya, you didn't even give us any drugs, Ayurveda drugs. You didn't give us any special prescriptions. I remember one of them, I told them to go for a walk and gift themselves flowers every day. These little things lead to the reversal of tremendous, scary ailments. Yes. If you continue watching this presentation, then you will know why. We are not broken by nature. We are not wounded by nature. We are not diseased by nature. That is not natural to us. Any wounding, any brokenness, and any disease is still very superficial. And you remove that, and underneath is still dwelling your ultimate health, your playfulness, your joyfulness, your creativity. Oh, a beautiful, splendid you awaits your discovery via a pure mind. Your body will get blessings from the own repertoire of infinite health that dwells within you. That is why Ayurveda says that you are, your soul, your true nature is what? Healthy, infinite, abiding health known as Arogyam. And that is why I teach my students this mantra, Aham Arogyam. I am health. My knee might be paining. My skin might have a rash going on. My toenail may have fungus. My arteries may have cholesterol right now. But this is all superficial. Underneath that dwells me, my true nature, and Aham Arogyam, I am health. So it's simply a matter of connecting to this health and finding and bringing back that health. And this is what I have been doing in my life. This is how I have helped countless people. And it's not just I who's doing it. This is the way traditionally Ayurveda operated. And I'm going to show you how this happens. And if you were to go a little deeper with me in this exploration, you might become your own self-uplifting, self-healing, self-soothing, self-loving, self-celebrating, self-balancing entity. You would be surprised at how much power you have and how disempowered we become because of society's messages. We feel like, oh no, now we've developed this problem and that's it. There's nothing I can do. But there is so much that you can do that you shall be surprised. Now, one reason you're so powerful, and I can say that, is because Ayurveda never saw you merely as, a mass of cells, simply a physical entity, because matter is perishable and matter can get old and aged and decays. But there is more to you than simply matter. You are a multi-dimensional living subject. And this living subject, this life in you, is the miraculous aspect of you. And this life in you can again and again fill you with new life. And so let us look at how Ayurveda approaches the human being and compare it to how a conventional medicine, for example, approaches the human being, and you would be surprised. So there is a beautiful verse from the Ayurveda tradition, and it says, Sharirindriya Sattvatma Samayogo Dhari Jivitam Nityagascha Paryayurayuruchyate. In these few words, cutting edge knowledge is contained. The permission to be a miraculous self-healing entity is contained right here. And we can understand why such a compassionate science such as Ayurveda exists, thankfully, for all of us human beings, because at last we shall not be seen merely as an ailing lung or a disturbed lipid profile or a cell gone crazy multiplying away. We will be seen in all our allness. And the good news is that if one part of us is ailing, all the other parts can be evoked to awaken health in that ailing part. But whereas in, unfortunately, the contemporary way, the reductionism has come to the cell or to the neuron, but in Ayurveda, it remains beautifully holistic. And what we are really saying in this verse, what the ancient seers of Ayurveda were saying is that each one of us possesses a physical body known as Sharira or Deha. And the Sharira or Deha or the body is made up of food. And so you can choose designer foods to shape shift and morph this body and transform it. And if you give it a certain designer foods for 30 days in a row, though the body may look similar and actually more beautiful and radiant because you're choosing Ayurveda knowledge to feed it, but this body will be significantly different. So the way to transform this body is not surgery, not medicines full of chemicals that give side effects, but beautiful, life-giving, intelligent superfoods. The knowledge of food in Ayurveda is in thousands of pages, right down to the details of if you drink cow milk, your immunity will go up this much and it will be useful for your intelligence. But if you drink goat milk, this is what will happen. If you eat pomegranate, your blood will get purified and your skin will radiate. If you eat figs, you can take care of your blood pressure and hypertension, and the arteries when they become stressed. You want to decompress the arteries, then you want fresh figs. Right down to those details are given by Ayurveda, which I often share with my students. Just the knowledge that the building blocks of the physical body, which is 5 elements, and building blocks of food, which is the 5 elements, and a beautiful exchange between them can happen. And we can use wisdom to choose our foods. We can make every meal count. We can make every snack count, and then wait for the magic. Just wait for the magic. I have shared how in my book, Ayurveda Lifestyle Wisdom, how this woman, Beverly, came to me with 30 years of stomach pain and no amounts of medical testing and trials and antibiotics or even procedures were giving her any relief. And then when she came to me, I knew her body is made up of food, so that pain is going to go away with changing the food to give her pain relieving foods. So I suggested her some foods. And before she left, she asked me, how much relief can I expect in 1 month? I told her 30% very confidently. She said, that's a big number. I knew it's more, but I thought it's best to say 30%. She came back in a month saying that she had almost 50%, if not 60% relief. Within the next 3 months, she had 90% relief, and thereafter she had full relief. Why? Because we know how to address the body. This body benefits from certain foods and the wisdom around the food, and this food wisdom has been not tried and tested on mice or other lab animals, but on human beings for 5,000 years. You can't go wrong with it. My specialty is in food, and I teach hours and hours and details on this food so that you can choose your food. You don't drink milk, no problem. What else can substitute the same benefits of milk in other foods, vegetables, fruits, nuts? Not all nuts are the same, not all vegetables are the same. And you can literally create a designer palette and eat that for 30 days or 90 days. Or 120 days, and you will have a new body. This is how the ancient yogis and the yoginis and the rishis and the rishikas, the sadhus and the sadhvis, this is how they ate. These were the seers, the spiritual men and women of India who have given us yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, Advaita, Tantra. How did they have this out-of-box life, out-of-box sexuality, out-of-box dancing, beauty, health, knowledge, wisdom? They ate right. And so we're not so scared of the body because we know what composes the body. We give you that. You have to go to an expert. It is not just a list of energy balancing foods, but it is the detailed investigation of each fruit, each vegetable, each dairy product, each cooking oil, each spice, and then they become your friends. But when you're unconscious and you just believe in the first fad out there, or you believe in a short-lived scientific research that falls flat on its face without so much as an apology, then you're just swallowing turmeric without knowing what it's doing to you. You're applying neem oil to your body without knowing what it's doing to you. But knowledge liberates you and empowers you. And then this body is benefited by biocircadian rhythms, which we then address through a sleep cycle, a solar cycle, a seasonal cycle, and a moon cycle of sleep and wake up. So all these cycles, we look at the body, and the body becomes happy. The body becomes full of life again. The body says, I want to be healthy. What's all this imbalance going on inside me? And this is how my countless students recovered from grim diseases. I too have been once diagnosed with an immunological condition, and I never looked back. And people with my so-called condition are in wheelchairs, and I am walking, even running. And this is how I do it. I create my own body every 30 days. Every season, I change its food. I just love myself through loving the food, cooking it, and adding medicinal spices. And then I can enjoy the body I have and put it in service of humanity and share this knowledge with everyone. So you are, but not just the physical body. A lot of the times medicine begins here and ends here. You are much more than that. You are also your senses. Your senses are interfacing with the universe. You can do excessive consumption of the universe. You can go on watching the computer. You can do, this is known as Ati Yoga. Then you can do wrong use of the senses. You can snort up substances up your nose that you shouldn't be inhaling versus inhaling the roses, along your path in your life. You could be listening to music that disturbs your hearing. So this is known as, a disturbed or a distorted use of senses. And then you have deficient use of the senses, where you're not using the senses enough. So if you have excessive use, distorted use, deficient use, the senses are our intelligent interface with the universe. So then the chaos of the universe enters the chaos of our being. And this hand here looks really like solid, does it not? My body looks really solid, does it not? But really, if you go deep, 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 deep down, quantum physics and modern science now confirms it, there is nothing here but vast field of energy in which there is vibration going on of the really, really tiny nanoparticles. Well, guess what? 5,000 years ago, that is what Ayurveda was telling us. Ayurveda was saying you're not a physical thing even. You're an energetic thing. You're an intelligent entity. You're an intelligent, energetic being. You're a light being. And so when you're interfacing through your senses in an excessive, deficient, or distorted manner, then you shall bring that chaos into your energetic field. And then you will feel depressed and you don't know why. Everything is going great with you. You might feel like a loss of energy. You might feel like your immunity is slumping. And it was just because there was constant exposure of one or more senses to something it should not be, exposed to. You should rein it in. Or you could be actually loving your senses, giving them what they need, soaking your skin in a tub of roses, musk roses, and marigolds, putting warm, lubricating sesame oil in your ears, dropping cooling rose water in your eyes. So all your senses could be rested, rejuvenated, your intelligent counters refurbished, so to say, and you will find your inner chaos settling down, because ultimately all disease is nothing but chaos at the subatomic level, at the vibrational level, at the energetic level, or what we say in Ayurveda, the dosha level. And this dosha level chaos or energetic level chaos begins through the five sensory organs, the five and then the five motor senses. So you want to look at all these 10 senses, 5 through which you receive the universe and 5 through which you act on the universe. These sensory and motor organs are really, really important, but at the same time, they are intelligent. And when you listen to healing music, or you chant, use your speech to chant certain mantras, you are hearing them, you're chanting them, and you'll begin to purify that clutter, that chaos in your energy field. Everything settles down, and boom, your soul is instantly connected to health. You connect with your soul, your deepest dimension, and your health improves. Your blood pressure drops. Your blood sugar starts behaving itself. So you can use the senses to distress yourself and dis-ease yourself, or you can use the senses to heal yourself, celebrate yourself, and awaken the health dimension within you. So that is why even if you have your physical body that's ailing, you could still use specifically your 5 sense organs, which are receiving inputs, to receive designer inputs that I like to remind my students about, so that you can connect with a dimension of soul-enabled health through a purified mind. Would you like that? Then we look at the third dimension, which is the dimension of your intelligent equipment, which includes mind, it includes intellect, it includes the memory faculty, and it includes the I maker, the story maker, the sense of self that you are, the ego, known as manas, indriya. Manas is mind, buddhi is intellect, memory is spriti, and ego is ahamkara. All of this together is known as mind or manas or sattva. These are the words for it. But in short, it forms your subtle body. And this is very much made up of the thoughts, the beliefs, the ideas that you're exposed to. And this is a very important dimension of your existence, because according to the traditional way Ayurveda is taught, disease does not begin at the level of the physical body. It does not even begin at the level of senses. It begins at the level of the mind. If the mind has right beliefs, it will use the senses carefully and it will judiciously eat food. And if the mind has wrong beliefs, self-sabotaging beliefs, self-disrespecting beliefs, self-non-loving beliefs, self-abandoning beliefs, then it will use its sense organs to harm itself for some instant pleasure, and it will not eat and go grocery shopping judiciously, not cook for itself, etc. So the making and unmaking of health happens at the dimension of the mind. And so this dimension is so important. But whereas in Western medicine, mind is still separate from the body, and we still go to a counselor or a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist to take care of our mind, and we go to a different internal medicine practitioner or other specialists for our body. But Ayurveda is psychosomatic all along, and that is why in the ancient texts known as Samhitas, where Ayurveda, physiology, pathology have been discussed in exhaustive detail. Right there alongside, we have exhaustive teachings on Ayurveda psychology and how to from the get-go, from the moment you get exposed to this knowledge, start changing your thoughts, start making your belief systems more of the nature that are health awakening rather than disease causing. And ultimately, the Ayurveda texts say that it is the net consciousness of your mind. Are you driven by health consciousness, wisdom consciousness, dharma consciousness, or are you driven by pleasure alone? Which ultimately, pleasure as in without wisdom is a problem. Pleasure with wisdom is great, but are you just driven by instant pleasure? Sense gratification, disease consciousness, then you shall be sooner or later creating that. You might have some luck, some good genes you're born with, but sooner or later you shall manifest what you think. Nowadays, it's a big thing that your thoughts become your body. Well, Ayurveda has been saying it for a long time, and an ancient Vedic teaching is yad bhavam tad bhavati. As you believe, you manifest your body. This is a 10,000-year-old teaching from the Ayurveda tradition and its parent, the Vedas. It is not a modern teaching. Unfortunately, we forget that and we don't pay enough attention to psychology. But fortunately, Ayurveda gives us this reminder that you don't just live through the physical body. Your life expresses itself through the physical body, through the 10 senses, and then, of course, through the mind. And mind can be changed. Mind can be put to good use by giving it good ideas and designer thoughts, which we call dharma. And dharma is that which sustains you, which protects you, and it makes you have a win-win adaptation with the universe and all its creatures. In all, dharma is that which ennobles you. It makes you bold. It makes you courageous. It makes you kind. It makes you be self-caring, planet caring. It makes you ecologically conscious. It makes you judicious, and it makes you examine everything. So dharma is a discerning, wise, poised, noble state of mind, and those thoughts must be fed to us. And that is why I have found that no matter how sick a person is, especially if they have a cluster of conditions, I don't even often begin at the body level. I don't even change the food. Why bother? Because if they don't have dharma consciousness in them, they'll follow a list for 10 days and then they'll drop it, and then they'll binge on exactly what they shouldn't be eating. I work on the mind and I work on changing the thoughts. And I introduce these age-old beliefs and ideas which are known to awaken Dharma. And Dharma is known to awaken health. It declutters the mind and allows you to connect with the soul. Isn't that beautiful? So we don't have to be afraid of the mind. We have to learn to feed the mind what it needs to awaken health. And I have found amazing results as the minds of the people I worked with changed. Their body showed almost spontaneous healing, and they became such amazing, jubilant, joyful, cheerful, people who wanted to change their diet. They were coming up with original recipes. They were, following all the sense loving and nourishing protocols. Why? Because their mind had become their friend. That is why this ancient verse says, Manushya evam manushyanam karanam bandha moksha yoho. It is this mind alone that leads us to bondage of wrong foods, dysfunctional relationships, and sorrow-giving situations. And it is the same mind, when it is given the right knowledge, the right wisdom by the right teacher and the right, text, it can lead us to freedom, moksha. Moksha means freedom. Freedom from all that suffering, freedom from all that sorrow, freedom from all that disempowerment. So yay for the mind, and understand that this is a very important dimension of your being. And then finally, you have a fourth dimension, and that is the dimension of pure awareness, pure consciousness. This consciousness is godly. It has connections with God. And God in Ayurveda and Veda is not a Hindu God or a Christian God or an Islamic God or a Sikh God or a Buddhist God. It is inclusive of every God. And godliness is all-pervading, omniscient, benign, kind, loving, light. It's an all-pervading intelligence, and that godliness dwells within us as our own personal soul. So when I talk about soul in this presentation, this series of teachings, I'm not talking about a soul from the Judeo-Christian tradition, but from the Vedic Hindu Ayurvedic tradition, not from a religious purpose, but please understand that soul, which means Atma, literally means Apanoti iti sarvam Atma, which means that which is boundless, that which is limitless, that which is boundaryless, that amazing, intelligent, bliss, consciousness, awareness is your soul with a capital S, and that is depicted by the symbol of Om. And that is why it is this Om self, this soul, that is the deepest part of you. And this is where health lives. And it doesn't live, it's not like it's a ghost or anything. It's an actual entity. It's pure consciousness, but it's not a material entity. While everything else is material, the body is material, the mind has subtle matter in it, like subtle particles. The senses also operate through a material body. But the soul, the Atma, the boundless true part of you is entirely spiritual. It is not physical, it is metaphysical. It is not limited like the other parts of you. It is unlimited. And so I want to teach you, if I ever get the opportunity, to then change your identity from simply being this one body to being a four-dimensional being, and being really proud of the ultimate dimension of your being, which is a boundless dimension. Knowing that you have all these four dimensions of body, senses, mind, and divine consciousness makes you a miraculous being, an energy being, an intelligent being, light, a physical being, and then ultimately a divine being. Now, this is where it gets very fascinating for me, because when I heard about all this from my Baba, I'm like, I'm a divine being. Let me see if I'm a divine being. And I have been experimenting ever since. and I have not been disappointed. I have found and I have in myself, and I have shown in so many of my students, a portal to their divinity. A teacher is really a path shower. I will lead you to your door, and then I will let you enjoy your own inner divinity. And when you are a composite of all these amazing dimensions of matter, body, of energy, senses, intelligence, matter, and consciousness, soul. Wow. Now things can happen. We really are working with a paradigm where we can assist you. And so say the cell, which is a physical thing, a matter-based thing, is ailing as in cancer or in a cyst, we can then change the food. We can, change the vibrational quality of even that cyst by the music that you are listening, the chant that you are chanting. We can change the relationship of your whole being with that cyst, with the thoughts that you think, the healing thoughts. And finally, as pure consciousness, which is not carrying the health because it is separate, it's consciousness. It has nothing to do with any of these three, it's separate. And yet it enlivens them, it's the life factor. Because of its presence, everything else is alive. Therefore, by connecting with this, there is healing here. So this is how I work. And this is how the ancient teachers were working. Ayurveda fulfills me, and it really completes the picture of where I'm leading you towards my health awakening model, and how there is so much hope. And if you're sick, your story is not over yet. And that's all I can say to you. There was a time, because of whatever condition that I had somewhere deep down in the cells, that I couldn't walk. My grandfather Baba came to me and said, "Don't be sad. If you can't walk, plan on flying." And then began a great teaching of how I am still flying, thanks to my other three dimensions almost carrying me and showing my legs how to walk again. So therefore, I will treat your physical dimension, your sensorial, your psychological, your spiritual, and then you will be surprised to find out that it also teaches you how to interact with people, people who are your equals, people who are maybe superior to you, as in they're older to you or they carry some authority over you, and then environmental adaptations. It even teaches the first lessons on ecology and how to take care of our land, soil, air. And finally, it teaches us about our connection with an invisible, all-pervading, all-inclusive God principle, which literally means the light that dwells in every particle of the universe, and that how you are inherently one with God, a beloved of God, and that you can expect health. Some of you may be uncomfortable with my usage of the word God. It's totally an English word, but I can definitely say that it helps you create a sacred atmosphere, a sacred expectation, and a sacred enjoyment. So finally, in this part of the presentation, I want to say that once you understand the four dimensions, the key is making sure they're interconnected. But that is not the case in our daily life. Our senses are doing their own thing. Our mind is, split within itself. The ego wants something else. The intellect wants something else. The senses are busy grazing some other food that they want. We don't know about the soul, or we're disconnected from it, or we are looking from our soul through some expensive meditation classes we are taking or something. It's just not whole. It's not integrated. It sounds really wonderful when you see it, but is that your experience? And this is where we need someone to show us the way to create an interconnectedness within us. And then first, within those four dimensions, that will lead to health, awakening health. And then finally, to an interconnectedness with the whole universe, with our social environment, with our geographical environment, with our ecological environment, with our biological environment, with our probably our internet environment. How do we have the four parts of us can have a harmonious relationship with the whole? And so there is a beautiful understanding that you, who is a unit known as Pindanda, has an inherent connection with the whole known as Brahmanda. So Yatha Brahmanda Tatha Pindanda. So they are one and the same. So this is another beautiful understanding that you are not isolated or separate or alienated. So how can you have a greater harmony with the geography that you are living in? So say you live in a very marshy area or in a very dry area. If you live in a very dry area, probably you need more oily and moist substances and moistening foods. And if you live in a very marshy area, maybe you need to consume more drying foods. That will bring about harmony. Maybe you live in a society where people are very materialistic and driven, and their only sense of self is what they own, how much money they have in the bank and how much stuff they have. Maybe one way to be in harmony is to be then less materialistic and be more content with this contemplation that I am enough as I am, because I am Atma, the boundless one, the source of life. So there are so many ways and so many guided meditations and teachings that traditional teachers used to provide, and I also provide, because without this harmony, what will happen is there will not be congruence between different parts of us, and then when we engage with the universe and its people and its creatures and its problems and its ups and downs. And this is right here where disease is, the dis and the ease is there, and we need to remove the dis part and just keep the ease. And harmony is very important. So that is why in Ayurveda, a very deep teaching is provided as to how to bring that about. I have not seen that level of interaction for integration in other systems of medicine. Have you? So that is why we must, because we are all made of the same elements. I don't want to go deep into the elements right now, but the building blocks are known as space, air, fire, water and earth, and all living things are made of that, and all inanimate things are made of that. We all share the same building blocks. So how can we be in harmony through the exchange of elements through food, etc., can be an important contemplation. And probably that is why, because a big part of our universe is Mother Nature, all our laws, all our lifestyle teachings, food teachings, they are never from, they were never created on a whiteboard they were never created in a chemical laboratory. It was not a eureka moment that belonged only to one person. All eureka moments of Ayurveda belong to humanity. And we have never had to recall a single law. We've never had to say, oops, we told you to consume soy, but too bad, you shouldn't be doing that by now. Or we told you not to have fats, but fats are good for you. By the way, some fat is really essential in daily lives. There is no, oops, I told you, but now I mean something else moments in Ayurveda. Why? Because we never cross nature. We work with nature. We listen to her. We request her for guidance. And so one way to be in harmony is to be mindful of nature. If you're someone who believes that man has to but conquer nature, and man and woman, we are just above nature and we can do our own thing, then probably listening to me is going to be really painful, least of all studying from me. But if you're someone who wants to return to the fold of Mother Nature, like a child that was wondering, looking for mother, where is my mother, where's my mother, with tears rolling down your cheeks, and then you sit down under a tree and mother comes find you. That is Ayurveda. So health will be good if you are in congruence with, all parts of you, mind, body, soul, senses. They're in congruence, in interaction with Mother Nature and this universe and its laws, and you will enjoy a wholesome and happy life. And the opposite will happen. Mark my words: dis-ease, distress, dystrophy, everything which we don't want, including a dramatic death. We will all age and die, but drama is optional, said Baba. We can age gracefully. There is so much death happening around us in nature, in the wild, but it doesn't need so much drama. And anyway, according to Ayurveda, death is simply the immortal, eternal, amazing, boundless part of you changing clothes and taking on a new bodysuit made of the food through the sperm and egg your parents ate. So death is not a big deal. You get to have as many lifetimes as you want, and you get to not have more lifetimes. More about that later. But the point is, because you're alive, life is important, and life quality is important. Continuing and building on these natural laws, there were 8 subdivisions of Ayurveda as early as 1000 BCE. That's a big deal. Ayurveda is not some hodgepodge science, a bunch of superstitions thrown together. It was a systematic science. Civilizations rise and then they fall. India was once at the peak of its civilization and its knowledge and its wisdom. And Ayurveda is product of a very advanced civilization. Moving forward in modern days, we don't see 8 subdivisions, but we even see 12 or sometimes 16 subdivisions. So Ayurveda continues to flourish, not only in India where everybody uses it, but worldwide. Ayurveda is becoming more and more popular. And do you know why? Ayurveda is increasingly popular. You're watching this presentation because Ayurveda works at the root cause. It doesn't work merely at the symptom level. And it knows that it needs to address not only your body with food, but your senses with right guidance of engagement, your mind with the correct health awakening thoughts, and ultimately lead you to the source of health within, which is the soul, which is the boundless Atma. Perhaps you have heard about someone's amazing and quick recovery from sorrowful mind or a diseased body state. Perhaps you have yourself benefited from Ayurveda. Perhaps you've read a book and become inspired to know more. Either which way, you are in the right place to learn more. When I come back in the second part of this presentation, I shall show you and share with you all about my awakening health model and how it is different from all other teachings currently on planet Earth, and why you might be interested in checking it out. See you soon.